But the real question is, do you understand the principles and values that made America great in the first place? The heart of our economy is not Washington, D.C. The heart of our economy is small businesses all across the United States of America. And you want to unleash incredible economic growth, just take the boot of the federal government off the back of the necks of small businesses. If I'm elected president,
you will be.
if and when we will repeal every word of Obamacare. We're going to pass common sense health care reform that makes health insurance personal and portable and affordable and keeps government from getting in between us and our doctors. And we're going to pass a simple flat tax. Today is tax day. Whole lot of people here spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of hours filling out meaningless paperwork. Well, let me tell you, in a couple of years, every one of us is going to fill out our tax return on a postcard. And when we do that, we should abolish the IRS. We're going to rein in the EPA. And the federal regulators who have descended like locusts on farmers and ranchers and small businesses, killing jobs all across this country. And we're going to stop amnesty and secure the borders and end sanctuary cities and end welfare benefits for those here illegally. And let me tell you what's going to happen when we do all of that. We're going to see millions and millions of new high-paying jobs. Jobs coming back to America, coming back from Mexico, coming back from China. Manufacturing jobs coming back to America. Wages rising again. We're going to see young people coming out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job offers. We'll see morning in America again. The second critical issue in this election is freedom. You know, just a few weeks ago, Justice Scalia's passing underscored the stakes of this election. It is not just one, but 2 branches of our federal government that hang in the balance. We are one liberal justice away from a radical 5-justice left-wing majority, the likes of which this country's never seen. If you care about religious liberty, if you care about the Second Amendment, if you care about keeping our nation safe from criminals, if you care about preserving U.S. sovereignty, we're one justice away from losing every one of those. And you know, 2 debates ago, Hugh Hewitt asked all of us about religious liberty and the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump turned to me and he said, "Ted, I've known a lot more politicians than you have." Well, in that, he's clearly correct. Donald Trump has been supporting liberal Democrats for 40 years. I have no experience with that. But Donald continued. He said, Ted, when it comes to the Supreme Court, when it comes to religious liberty, you got to learn to compromise. You got to cut deals with Democrats. You got to learn to go along to get along. Well, let me be very, very clear to the men and women of Maryland. I will not compromise away your religious liberty. And I will not compromise away your... The third critical issue in this election is security. For 7 years, we've seen a president who abandons our friends and allies and shows weakness and appeasement to our enemies. You know, again, 2 debates ago, Donald Trump explained if he were president, he would be neutral between Israel and the Palestinians. Well, let me be very clear. As president, I will not be neutral. America will stand unapologetically with the nation of Israel. And you know, anyone who can't tell the difference between our friends and our enemies, anyone who can't tell the difference between Israel and Islamic terrorists who want to murder us, that raises real questions about their fitness and judgment to be commander-in-chief. Over the last 7 years, we've seen our military undermined. We've seen readiness weakened. We've seen morale of the troops plummeting. And you know, this isn't the first time we've seen this as a nation. We've before seen another liberal Democratic president, Jimmy Carter, weaken and undermine the military. And then in January 1981, Ronald Reagan came into office. And what did Reagan do? He cut taxes. He lifted regulations. We saw millions and millions of new high-paying jobs. It generated trillions in new revenue for the federal government. And he used that revenue to rebuild the military. And we bankrupted the Soviet Union and won the Cold War. I intend to do the exact same thing with radical Islamic terrorism. We're going to repeal Obamacare, pass a flat tax, rein in the regulators, stop amnesty. That's going to create millions and millions of new high-paying jobs, wages rising all across America. That's going to generate trillions in new revenue for the federal government, and we will use that revenue to rebuild our military so it remains the mightiest fighting force on the face of the planet. No longer will our military be governed by political correctness. We will have a commander-in-chief who stands up and says to the world, we will defeat radical Islamic terrorism. We'll have a president willing to utter the words, radical Islamic terrorism. And you know, one of the saddest things we've seen over the last 7 years has been this president sending our fighting men and women into combat with rules of engagement so strict that their arms are tied behind their backs, that they cannot fight, they cannot win, they cannot defend themselves. That is wrong. It is immoral. And mark my words, in January 2017, it will end. America has always been reluctant to use military force. We are slow to anger. We believe in peace through strength. But if and when military force is necessary, we should use overwhelming force, kill the enemy, and then get the heck out. So let's talk a little politics. This has been an interesting year. I will say this, it hadn't been boring. You know, we started out with 17 candidates on the Republican side, an amazingly diverse, young, talented, dynamic field. What a contrast with the Democrats. You know, the Democratic field consists of a wild-eyed socialist with ideas that are dangerous for America and the world, and Bernie Sanders. And yet, the 17 Republican candidates, the primary field did what it's supposed to do. The primary process has narrowed the field. As we stand here today, there are two and only two candidates who have any plausible path whatsoever to winning the Republican nomination: me and Donald Trump. And you know, all across Maryland, all across the country, 65 to 70% of Republicans recognize that nominating Donald Trump hands the election to Hillary Clinton. That Hillary wins by double digits. Let me give you an amazing stat. A few weeks ago, they did a general election poll in Utah. Hillary is beating Donald Trump in Utah. Utah is the reddest state in the Union. If the Republican cannot carry bright red Utah, we're looking at a Walter Mondale level bloodbath across the country. That means it costs us the Senate, it may cost us the House, we lose the Supreme Court for a generation, the Bill of Rights is in jeopardy, and our kids remain buried under trillions in debt, and we stay in the economic stagnation we have right now. But what we're seeing happening is the 65 to 70% of Republicans who see that are uniting behind this campaign. Yeah. That is our object more than anything else, is unity. Bringing together, standing together, united among Republicans. You know, of the 17 Republicans who started this race, 5 have endorsed our campaign. Rick Perry and Lindsey Graham and Jeb Bush and Scott Walker and Carly Fiorina. And when you throw into the mix Mike Lee and Glenn Beck and Mark Levin, that is the entirety of the ideological spectrum of the Republican Party coming together united. Now, Maryland votes just over a week from now. Maryland is a battleground. Maryland is going to have an outsized voice as the nation is looking to Maryland to decide, do we nominate Donald Trump and hand the election to Hillary Clinton? Or do we unite behind the Cruz campaign and beat Hillary Clinton? Because if I'm the nominee, we win the general election. We're beating Hillary in the key swing states. We're beating Hillary with independents. We're beating Hillary with young people. And so I want to ask everyone here, y'all are the front lines, y'all are the ones deciding, I want to ask everyone here to come out and vote for me 10 times. Now, look, we're not Democrats. I'm not suggesting voter fraud. But if everyone here goes out and gets 9 other people to vote, you will have voted 10 times. That's how we win. It is from the people, we the people, a movement rising up, coming together, uniting. If we unite, we will win this primary. If we unite, we will win the general, we will beat Hillary Clinton, and we will turn this country around. It took Jimmy Carter to give us Ronald Reagan. And I am convinced the most long-lasting legacy of Barack Obama is going to be a new generation of leaders in the Republican Party who stand and fight for liberty, who stand and fight for the Constitution, and who stand and fight for the Judeo-Christian values that built this great nation. Thank you, and God bless you.